StarCast is proudly sponsored by DoghouseSystems.com. If you use the code StarCast or Biscuit at checkout, you will get double memory on your next Doghouse system. And also TweakedAudio.com. Go to TweakedAudio.com for high-performance noise-reducing earbuds. Use our code StarCast and get 30% off plus free shipping on your entire order. And finally, SC2QuoteOfTheDay.com. Daily quotes from the StarCraft 2 community. The site may suck, but the quotes are sick. And make sure to go check out their t-shirts in their new store. Once again, that's SC2QuoteOfTheDay.com, and we thank them for their support. Sponsor an episode of StarCast at thestarcast.com.
Hell, it's about damn time for StarCast.
Incoming transmission.
Biscuit.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 152 of StarCast, the StarCraft podcast. I'm Garrett Whines, and with me, as always, is Kyle Ferguson. Kyle, happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, Garrett. We're almost to Friday, which is nice. I personally am exhausted today. I've been working out for a solid month, actually, 3 days a week. Haven't said it until now because, you don't want to jinx it. You always say, I started working out, and then you just stop.
But you're skinny. What's the point?
But I'd like to have, a bit on me. But, man, we did like a 1 month picture thing, and nothing happened. I'm lifting more, but nothing happened in the picture. I'm so depressed.
Well,
but it takes up to 90 days, so I'm going to keep at it, keep going, because personally I think it'd be hilarious.
For you to be, jacked, or?
Yeah, it's never going to happen because I'm 6'4", and 6'4" guys don't really get jacked, but it would still amuse me beyond belief.
Well, they do, but I don't think they live the lifestyles that you live.
Sitting in a chair a lot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not climbing mountains and scaling summits.
And also, not having a real need to be some kind of juicer nut job. I'm going to go to the beach and kick sand on nerds.
That's true. If anything, I just want to laugh at nerds and flex while I move my mouse. There's really no point for me to be buff.
You're going to strike a pose while you're owning face on ladder?
Yeah, absolutely. Stream that up.
Oh, wow. That's you're going to have the bicep cam. Everyone else has the camera on their fingers on the keyboard. You just got to point it right at the freaking bicep.
Right at that one vein that pops out. Oh, yeah. That's nice. Well, hey, man, it's an exciting week. We got a lot of StarCraft going on, and just video games in general going through some changes. We have the EA pulling back on the online passes, and Nintendo reclaiming all of their online videos.
I didn't hear about either of those things.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give you the quick version. So EA is getting rid of... You remember when you buy an EA game physical, and you get that little pass on the inside, and you need to register it to basically stop... used game sales.
Right, yeah, so you can do the online stuff. Mass Effect had that.
Exactly. They're getting rid of it.
Oh, good, because that's stupid.
Yeah, it was weird to withhold content, and if you are a person who enjoys used games, it was really strange to miss out on the entire Catwoman part of the story in Batman Arkham City.
Oh, yeah. See, I bought it that news, so I didn't notice, but that was one of the games.
Yeah, so that's going to be going away, and hopefully that means, I'd like to see a Mass Effect 3 on Steam. That would make my day. I've been holding out for the year collector's edition, but that is not coming.
I don't think, because that's more of an Origin thing. That's not an online pass thing, buddy. I don't think you're going to see that ever.
I know, but I'm dreaming here.
Yeah, well, if they put it out on Steam, I'd buy the entire trilogy in a heartbeat.
Yeah, well, I want the collector's edition. I didn't buy, I played my girlfriend's copy when it came out, and, I'm like, okay, cool, we'll wait a year, I'll get the collector's edition, I'll have all the freaking downloadable content, it'll be awesome, and they still haven't put it out, no year special, so hopefully. The other thing is the Nintendo, they're taking down all the videos of people playing their video games on YouTube, or reclaiming them, actually. So if you stream yourself playing a Nintendo game, be warned, you will not get to keep that video, and you'll probably be taken offline in the near future.
One more reason not to give a shit about the Wii U. Good job, Nintendo.
Well, I don't think people were too concerned about Wii U games, of which there are, 2, maybe?
It actually had a decent launch. There were quite a few titles, but more than half of them were available on other systems.
Exactly. And what we're really going to be streaming are things like Star Fox N64 and Mario speedruns.
Oh, okay. Well, Ginger in the chat room says that you get to keep the video. They just take the ad revenue. Oh, okay. Good for them.
Interesting.
They need the money.
Yeah. Well, they still have the mobile market, but
yeah.
I'm sure that's waning with... Oh, my goodness. My mom texted me the other day showing off a iPad game for cats. I've never seen such a gross misuse of technology.
You've never seen that before? It's like you're like 4 years late to this game, dude.
I choose to ignore it because I like an iPad.
Okay, I would.
And
too.
I don't want to see it wasted on cats.
All right. So if
Cats
you're out there
are used
listening and your cat is using your iPad, please box it up and send it to Kyle.
Yes, please do. What a waste. I have aluminum foil balls. I have a sandwich. I wrap it in aluminum foil. When I'm done with my sandwich at work, I keep that aluminum foil and throw it in my bag. And hey, my cat has a brand spanking new toy that he loves beyond belief. My cat does not need $300 equipment to have fun.
Wonderful. Also, where are you getting a $300 iPad? Anyways, I think we should finally talk some StarCraft and get into the Blizzard news this week. Blizzard, well, first up, the Spore Crawler damage buff is finally live in the actual game, not just in a forum post by David Kim, not just in a balanced testing map. It's live. We had a hotfix over, 2 days ago? 3 days ago? I don't remember. I think it might have been Monday, actually. Yeah, it was Monday because we did This Week in Blizz, and I kept checking because I knew it was coming out, but it wasn't out.
Yep, so no big formal patch with it and no other changes, just changing the damage, which makes sense. I mean, enter some numbers in the server and get it done.
Yep, they used to do 15-15 versus 15 plus 15 versus biological. Now they do 15 base damage plus an additional 30 versus biological, which means you can 3-shot with overkill on Mutalisks.
Yep. So the general response to this around the world, pros, people in the forums, is that it's not really solving the problem. On the high levels, what we really need is a unit that has multiple purposes. I mean, if you're going to get something to deal with mutas, you're going to get like Hydras or you're going to get Infestors, but those are rather specific in ZVZ and ultimately aren't going to get you too far. Instead of just having like something like Marines hanging out in your base, of course you're going to have them anyway. You're countering mutas right there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you were getting into this in ZVZ, in your ZVZs, correct? The muta versus muta kind of BS. And I remember either a week or 2 weeks ago that when they started the balanced testing map, that David Kim was saying, well, really, we just want to make taking your third or fourth a little less stressful in ZVZ. So do you think they've accomplished that goal?
To an extent, yes. I mean, if you can actually get your third up quick enough, which is what I'm working on really right now. My problem is taking a fourth and a fifth, but I'm pretty quick at getting that third up, so I'm not having an issue anymore. If you really need to, you can take the layer for the, for some tech and defense and get the Hydras and park them out there at your third, or even dump some creep and get some Spore Crawlers up. Ultimately, what's going to be real cool about this is in the future, as we slowly evolve the static defense swarm host builds, that this is going to matter a lot.
Okay. Extrapolate upon that, because I haven't read up on this strategy at all.
Oh, okay.
You're saying as swarm hosts get more popular, that the Spore Crawler change is going to be good?
A little more valuable, yeah, because right now there's a very cool strategy that's happening mainly in ZVP, where you spread your creep, as far as you can towards their base, and then when you've gotten over the halfway point, you just start making spines and spores right on top of your swarm hosts there. So the swarm hosts are sending out these waves that, of course, are infinite and do lots of damage and keep the Protoss contained while stopping them from getting a nice death ball together. And if they rush out real quick to take care of it, they're going to find a whole bunch of static defense sitting on top of your swarm hosts.
So are you saying that the Spore Crawler change now makes this strategy good versus another Zerg? Or how does this fit into ZVP at all?
That's the thing. It's going to be...
It doesn't affect it whatsoever at the moment.
No, it doesn't. But it could, because if you're getting a third, then you're getting higher tech. You might actually get to Hive in a game. There might be a Broodlord. There might be Corruptors. And those are worth pooling into your swarm or your Spore Crawlers with a Viper or something like that. So it's hard to encapsulate everything that this could mean. But basically, yes, you should be able to take a third much easier, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, I think I got lost when you brought up ZVP, because Spore crawlers do nothing to Protoss units.
No, you're absolutely right. I went off on a different tangent there, which was just about using the swarm hosts with
all right.
the
So
Spore
we
crawlers.
just started talking strategies that you're enjoying right now, and you got off track. Okay.
Exactly. My fault there.
Because there's a couple guys in chat room like, it doesn't affect Protoss units. What are you talking about, you crazy man? It's like, no, this is Kyle. He gets on a roll. Calm down.
Well, swarm hosts, I just want to see them. I love swarm hosts. I love using them. They're awesome, and I'd love to see them in ZVZ.
I would love them if you would make anything else in team games. Then I would start loving swarm hosts. But unfortunately, that's all you make, and we lose, and it's a sad day.
Hey, man, we had an awesome time this weekend playing some 3v3s.
In 3v3s, yes.
Yeah.
It's been wonderful. We've been playing 3v3s with our buddy Ben, who hosts This Week in Blizz with us on Mondays. I don't think I've ever had this much fun in a 3v3 before.
Well, there were some nice, even matches. I actually went mutos in that one we won, so you're welcome.
I wonder why we won. Maybe because you made one of the most versatile units in the game, as opposed to you made the multi-tool instead of the single-slot screwdriver.
Yes, yeah. That's really my own fault and my autopilot's fault, because in 1v1 right now, I'm very heavy in IdrA Nidus Swarm Host.
Okay.
And Niduses, they don't work at all in team games, because you've got an extra set of eyes staring at things on the map, and usually someone's going to catch it. If you're just dealing with one guy, you can usually sneak something by him.
They're good in any of the games where you don't share a base.
Yes.
You just got 3 people who aren't paying attention to their 3 separate mains. Or 4, whatever size team game you're playing. But anyways, very cool. Go blow the crap out of some mutas with your incredibly buffed Spore crawlers. Enjoy. Got some potential map changes potentially on the horizon. David Kim made another post, a blue post in the official forums this past week, talking about how they had previously mentioned that they would be conversing with major tournaments to get certain maps approved, but that they want to get feedback from the community before they make that change, which immediately my thought was, have you not received enough feedback on this subject since the game went live already? Because I seem to remember, for the love of God and all that is holy, give us tournament maps in ladder being one of the loudest things yelled for a very long time.
Yeah, it does seem a little odd, but I'm glad they're doing this. I'm glad they're continuing to pursue it. It's interesting that they're thinking about removing the 4 base maps almost altogether.
Huh. Did they say that, or are they just... No, they're just talking about making cross spawns permanent.
Right. Well, okay, yes, so that still allows for some variety, either straight across or straight diagonal, but it doesn't quote unquote remove 4 base maps. It just removes the chance of close spawns. Yeah, and close spawns, they're lame, but I don't know. I kind of like the variety. I like how there's that extra caveat when we head into a map. And if they spawn close, this could happen. That's interesting.
But the large majority of tournaments don't allow close spawns.
No, and we've seen that for years. The past 2 years or so, people have been removing close spawns.
It's been the case for a very long time, and since Blizzard put so much stock, they try and put a lot of stock into the ladder, but the complaints have always been, if you want us to put more weight into the ladder, it needs to be closer to tournaments. So why aren't we using tournament maps? Why aren't we using tournament rules? So it seems like they're finally considering this at the very least. I'm all for it. I can always make a custom game with you and be like, let's do close spawns and rush the shit out of each other.
Sure, if you really want to.
Yeah.
No, I mean, really, when you find out you have close spawns, I don't think anyone's having a better time than before. It's certainly nice though when you want to like take a fast hatchery and you want to be a little secretive about it, and you don't want like a cannon ending up automatically right there on the edge of your creep.
Yeah, that's no good. You know what? Right after saying that, Kyle, we can go play a game on Steps of War if you would like.
Sure. Yeah, that'll take me back.
If you're missing some close spawns,
I'll be over this in no time.
Especially without having to research siege mode, I'll really have a good time. Just saying.
Good.
You know, it's like I've got a bad analogy. I don't even know what. I almost said it's like prom night, thinking that was like the most fun time of my life. I mean, it was good. I had fun. At the end of the night, instead of going to an after party, getting drunk and getting laid, I actually played Super Smash Brothers with all of my friends.
Sounds better to me.
But yeah. But that's a nerd's prom night. Yeah.
The way it should be.
So, bad analogy. I don't know. So, I mean, back to it. Would you rather just, I guess, what is your serious opinion? Would you like to see cross spawns be permanent and be the only option, or would you really, really miss close spawns?
I think there's so much mobility now in all the different matchups. I mean, you have the Protoss able to port all the way back to their base instantly. You have Nidus Worms that are now more popular because Hydras are actually useful to defend them when they pop out. And Medevac boost. There's really no reason why we need close spawns for some sort of extra dynamic.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I mean, the most important thing is that we don't have maps that, like Scrap Station, where it's like, oh, you're going air. Not because you want to, but because you can fly directly close spawn to the enemy.
Yeah.
While we're bringing up old maps that we hated.
Scrap Station. Oh, that was the one. That was the U-shaped one.
Yep, with that.
I couldn't remember the damn name of that a few weeks ago.
Rocks.
Yeah, with the close spawns and stuff.
I had some cool battles on that destructible rock bridge, but
I did too. It was such a weird map. Like, it was so bizarre. But yeah.
And that third, oh my goodness, it was way down there. Mm-hmm. It's so ridiculous to think how much more macro is in the game now and how much more the maps take advantage of it. And probably the numbers are, if there's a hard third to take, it's probably downvoted.
Yeah.
I wonder how much that actually is taken into account by Blizzard.
What?
The actual popularity of a map rather than its use in tournaments.
I'm sure it plays a factor. We've always kind of talked about the ethereal wisdom that is Blizzard's like database. The amount of statistics that they have access to is probably mind-boggling. So, I mean, they want people to play something they put time into. I don't think they're going to be like keeping a map in, or if it's like 95% downvoted.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's do a little follow-up on the IdrA story from last week. It was the hot topic, and it was breaking news when we talked about it on last week's live show. Now the dust is settled. We kind of know what's going on with IdrA. He did a real talk with JP. He was just on Meta. And he officially announced that he's done with competitive play, which...
Yeah.
I can't say I was surprised.
No, and I mean, we've... last week, and I will continue this week, we've avoided kind of trying to get into his head and talk about his personal feelings and all that. Actually, this next week, he's going to be casting some, which is pretty exciting. I really enjoyed getting to see him on Meta. I wish the best for him, because honestly, seeing him on Meta was very refreshing. He seemed real happy.
Yeah. I have nothing to add to that. I agree with you entirely. So he officially forfeited his WCS Challenger matches. He's no longer competing in that. And he's been streaming, so sweet. I'm happy for him. I'm excited for a world where IdrA gets to be more of a personality.
I agree. It's a tough situation here. And what he did had to be made an example of, ultimately.
Yeah. And we got some emails on the subject. Corin wrote in and he said, to me, EG always presented two excellent role models in Control and IdrA. On the one hand, I've got a boss Protoss hero with an excellent sense of humor, a great smile, a super work ethic, and a dedication to the community. On the other hand, there was this badass rebel with an attitude, one of the best and most successful gamers in both Brood War and StarCraft 2. It felt like there was a choice to make between happiness and heartbreak. Both players were putting in all the time and effort necessary without the breakthrough success that they wanted, and their personality on streams, Team Liquid, Twitter represented the toll their recent career trend has been taking. Good points. Big In Control fan there.
Yeah.
It's very kind words to Mr. In Control.
Can't blame him.
Yeah, I don't feel like it was really a choice between the two guys. I mean,
no, I don't think we're like, well, after this situation, I mean, clearly IdrA's upset some people and our sponsors, but we could get rid of In Control. Let's sit down and talk.
I told you that's what it came down to. No, but no. And Corin called in last week, and he made some really good points. He's a good guy. I'm glad he got through. But no, I totally get what he's saying. I think he's just talking in broader strokes. So it's like they had to choose between the light side and the dark side. Back to my analogy that it was like watching Darth Vader die last week. Except in this story, Darth Vader got back up and then started casting pod races.
Oh man, I would love if we had if we took the time, actually, because we have the technology to do it. If every time there was a finals, they got everyone to stand in the background behind a scrim and like shine a blue light on them, so they all look like ghosts and they all smile and nod approvingly at the winner.
You want former GSL champion Jedi ghosts?
Yes. Smiling at the new winner.
I have nothing to say to that. Andreas also wrote in and said, I wanted to write in with a thought on the whole IdrA EG mess. IdrA has long been known for his anger. It all gets chalked up to being a personality. Fine. And he has been no stranger to crossing the line, and I would argue that EG has been extremely patient with him in this regard, particularly in quitting games that he could have won, not fulfilling expectations, or while the whole the Muslim flap in which he was trashing his own teammate. But to go onto a very public forum and declare that he gets paid for treating his fans like garbage is crossing a line too far for a team owner. At that point, Alex Garfield has no choice but to say, no you don't. It's one thing to act like a jackass and be tolerated by your management, maybe reprimanded privately. It's another thing entirely to declare that this sort of behavior is sanctioned, even encouraged by the people paying him. That imputes his repeated trashing of the community to EG as a whole, implying that EG management shares his views of the community, and there's no way that Alex Garfield can allow that to go I don't even know what that word is.
I don't know.
Repudiated. It's kind of a slap in the face of the team management, and it was probably just the final straw. In short, don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Yep, okay. That's what it comes down to. And I couldn't help but think of the scene in Kill Bill 2, where he's going, "What are you working, bud?" "Well, there's no one to bounce." Well, let's see. Let's go to the calendar here. See when Bud's working.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with Andreas 100%. By no means did I read that post from IdrA, and my brain went, "Oh, this means this is EG's mission statement." Not where I went at all with that.
No.
I went, oh, look, it's IdrA doing what IdrA does.
Yep, clearly he's having a bad day, whatever, glances off me, but they're in a big growing scheme at the moment, particularly with the, getting ready to relocate, maybe that studio they're talking about.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of things up in the air for them at the moment, so.
So I'm sure they're going to have a lot of new eyes on them. Team Liquid is definitely the biggest forum for StarCraft.
Yeah. Thank you for stating true facts.
Sure, you're welcome.
Very, very true facts.
So it had to be too tempting as well as an employer for someone to say, I get paid to do this, and just to go, no, you don't. That is not what we pay you for, and in fact, we're not paying you anymore.
Yep. Agreed. And if you watch his Real Talk with JP, he kind of just talks it all up to, like, I'd like to troll people. This was just an extremely volatile troll.
Yep.
So, there is that.
Well, we can, we've got, we're going to talk about NaNiwa a bit later, too, and we can just kind of talk then about the way nerds handle things as well.
Yeah. I agree with Al in the chat room. He's a nice guy, and his analytics are so good. So, cool stuff. Tell you who's not trolling is Stephano, who announced this past week that he will be retiring on August 15th. He's going to be going back to school. I'm really sad about this.
I know, this is really depressing.
Two of my favorite foreign Zergs are done. Gone. Goodbye.
But this is like, it's a revered sort of sad, because you're like, damn, there goes that man to become a doctor with all his winnings.
Is he going back to medical school?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's crazy.
I can totally see him as like one of those hot shot surgeons.
Like the way their way surgeons are kind of represented in the Scrubs show. They're just a bunch of fast talking jocks.
Exactly. You want to get in there and just mess things up and like sew it up and oh no, blood in my face. Let's keep going.
Dude, did you stitch GG into my abdomen?
I can totally see Stephano doing that.
Okay. The chat room saying no. He said he wanted to study math and engineering.
Really? Somewhere I heard...
Are you sure you're not getting him confused with Suppy, who's currently in med school?
Yeah, I was aware of that, and I heard doctor yet again.
Too many Zergs on EG doing the school thing.
Either way. I mean...
But nonetheless, he's going back to school with a lot of money. It says here that he's made over $216,000 during his career, which puts him $100,000 over any other foreigner. Man is apparently in second place with $94,000.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's a lot of money to go to college with.
If his parents ever had a doubt or ever gave him crap, I hope they gave him crap so that he could go back and be like, hey, Mom and Dad, I'm going to school. Oh, how am I paying for it? With the $200,000 freaking dollars I won for playing video games.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to fund my college playing video games. What do you think of that, Mom? That's a success story if I've ever heard one.
You hear that? That's the sound of thousands of parents' heads exploding across the universe.
Well, your kid needs to have as much skill as Stephano, which is pretty rare.
Pretty unlikely. So
It's interesting to see this side of... It again brings up the EG curse. You know, we have all the money he made, and then he's leaving EG, but he's bound for success. IdrA now is in Grandmasters, now that he's out of EG, so that's weird.
It's... I don't know, I would probably play better if I had a bunch of, like, the stress of winning off of me.
Sure, why not? Yeah.
So, I mean, nothing's... If anyone can succeed as just, like, a streamer and personality, I mean, IdrA's definitely up there. So.
Okay, I have been confirmed on he wants to study medicine.
Okay. It said okay, according to NaNiwa in the chat room, that he said in earlier interviews that he wants to study medicine and that he's not sure about the math.
Good, I would have been real sad if we lost all that scrub stuff for nothing.
It doesn't matter. It was said. It was still fun.
Yeah, it's done. It's recorded.
I've been marathoning that. That's the new thing I'm marathoning right now on Netflix.
Sure.
I've seen a lot of the episodes already, but never in order, and I'm surprised by how many of the early ones I missed.
The problem with that show is you often just want to watch like half an hour while you eat some dinner, but then you end up watching 2 hours because, well, you naturally watch 2 episodes, but then that third episode that you really spring for is one of the real sad, depressing episodes, and you need to pull yourself out of it with a 4th episode.
It does that, man. It's a very funny, very lighthearted show, and it just has the random depressing episode. Damn you, Scrubs. It's like the episode of Futurama with Fry's dog.
Yeah.
That episode can go straight to hell where it belongs.
Or when he loses the stars and his love for Leela and all the whole Leela story. Always sad, always enjoy it. Love the D&D movie. At any rate, Stephano will be around till August, so there are plenty more winnings that he can get in that time. And I mean, if Suppy's doing so hot while he's in college, I think Stephano will be tempted by the money to come back a time or two. But that's when his contract with EG is ending. Naturally, he's going to split with them because there's no reason to keep that commitment going.
Right. So, best of luck to him. I hope he comes back. So, anyways, Kyle, can we talk GSL now?
Yes.
Can we call it? All right, you start because I didn't see a lot of day one. I kind of watched it in passing. Okay, the round of 8 has started. By the way, sorry, podcast listeners. We keep getting emails from people who are new to esports, so we're going to try our best to explain what the hell we're talking about a little more, or a little better. The GSL, which is WCS, who's hosting WCS Korea Season 1, is currently going on. And the Premier League, or CODES, which is the best players, is currently down to the round of 8. Well, the round of 8 is actually now completed, and we're about to spoil the crap out of it for you.
Yep. Can't you see who I am? I'm invisible. Where do they get these songs?
I don't know, but I've been hearing Fall Out Boy on there, and it's been making me really happy.
I've also heard Level 90 Tor and Cheatin in the background.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I'm down for that.
Sure. Well, they probably loaded it up when Blizzard came by, and they just got the same CD in there every day.
I don't think Blizzard would be down with the Fallout Boy. At least the majority of the guys that I've met from Blizzard are all kind of metalheads.
Metal does seem to permeate that place. Don't know.
Have you looked in the art books, man? It's seriously like you could just like.
That's true.
You look at flip through a Warcraft art book. Any of that would work for like an Iron Maiden cover.
yeah, you're right. I mean, the art books are basically tattoo parlors.
Yes. Anyways, GSL, our personal favorite tournament, is just getting really dangerously close to the finals. So let's talk about the round of 8. Kyle, how did you enjoy day 1?
I enjoyed it a lot. We had first up was Soulkey versus Parting, and this was a fascinating series representing how to do the same thing over and over again and have it end up differently. And these matches happen, where you're watching and each player is kind of nervous or something, so they each open the exact same way every single time.
Okay, all right. So I didn't miss much?
It was enjoyable. Let's see. I need to refresh myself here. Oh, man, that's not up there yet.
What are you talking about?
Oh, the round of 8 on Team Liquid.
It's right here. I'm looking straight at it.
I guess I'm looking at the wrong thing.
I guess you are. You're crazy. Well, just talk about your favorite games, dude.
Okay. Well, let's just keep it short and simple here and jump straight to Game 4. In Game 4, we learned once again that infested Terrans are useless. It was so sad. INnoVation, or not INnoVation. I'm ready to talk about INnoVation here. Soulkey just dumps them. Oh, no. Dang, I'm completely...
It was Soulkey versus Parting, and it was SOS versus Congo, who was better known as... Oh, crap, it was Congo's name change again.
Let's back this up for a second here. All right, Soulkey versus Parting. Game 4. Enjoy it. It's the best comeback of the season so far. This is a textbook way of how to win his Protoss against Zerg. In the beginning of this game, Soulkey gets 4 lings into the base. Slow lings, by the way. The gate is open. Parting messes up. And it is quickly followed by hordes and hordes of speedlings that end up not being able to finish the deal, but take out the natural, cause the photon overcharge to go off in the main base, and still probes are dying because that thing fires kind of slowly. The mothership core is doing what it can.
It's not the best thing for ling run buys. No,
and because it's a rather heavy hit, but it doesn't target there's no splash damage, and it fires rather slowly, ultimately. Yep. So lots of probes fall, and Parting walls himself off and makes a death ball, and a beautiful death ball it is, hits Soulkey right at the right time, and just destroys everything he had. It was a real sad display of why you shouldn't use all of your Viper pools at one time. You should use them one at a time, so that you actually have things to attack the things you pull. Otherwise, you might find yourself with the Colossus wandering right back into the death ball where they belong.
Well, yeah, the other thing, too, is you're splitting your damage. If you pull one at a time, all your units can attack the same target.
Yeah,
depending, of course, on what units you have. If you have a ton of roaches, they might not be able to fire over each other.
It was an impressive game that Parting should have never, ever won.
Good to hear.
Yeah, but Soulkey ends up taking it all.
Yeah, which is funny, because I totally had my money on Parting for this.
Well, Parting's a boss, but it seems like there's still something missing in Heart of the Swarm for him.
Yeah.
When we first saw him in the round of 32 and in the round of 16, he was getting his mothership core at odd times. He wasn't really taking advantage of any of the new units or abilities. Now he's actually getting there, but it's not 100% yet.
Yeah. Agreed. Still, I mean, Soulkey is very damn good. Like, so damn good. But I was like, Parting. I'm going to call it Parting, and so did Tastosis. And I agree with them. I would have loved to have seen an INnoVation versus Parting finals, but alas, we are not going to see that.
No, Seth. I mean, I'm sure that these finals are going to be rocking, man. We haven't had a bad finals in the GSL for a good 2 seasons, which is nice. In the past, if you're
new,
if you're new, the GSL finals almost seemed like we had two different brackets going on. Great semifinals every time. Great climb up the ladder. But then these two guys who went through two completely different gauntlets, one filled with blades and one filled with pillows, would fight each other, and it would just be the biggest rollover you've ever seen.
Yeah, God, I'm glad you reminded me of that. I'd almost forgotten of those days. God,
well, don't forget last season's finals, which was that ZVZ with the broodlords attacking each other in midair because the one Zergling wandered into their field, and then the broodlings were landing on the broodlings, and it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember because I went into that just hating on it so hard. Like, I'm sick of Zerg winning. Oh, this is Zerg. Oh, I made 20 infestors. You don't have infestors. I win. and I'm like, man, we're going to see a ZVZ finals. It's not going to be fun at all. And and lo and behold, I get Broodlord versus Broodlord. It was actually pretty badass.
Yep. Hey, these Spore crawlers would have helped out with that, maybe.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. I'd like to see that.
It really sucks that you can't burrow them while they're surrounded by units.
Spore crawlers?
Yeah, because they have to make a perfect square, and when you're surrounded by like lings or something, you can't burrow. Even though you've got your little tentacle legs, I mean, you should just be able to kind of give a little kick and get down in the ground.
They're technically already burrowed.
The spore crawlers?
Yeah, all the crawlers, they dig, dude. They come up out of the ground, walk around, and then sink back down into the ground.
Yeah, but if you get surrounded while you're up out of the ground, you can't burrow back in.
Oh,
even
okay,
though like
that's what you're talking about. Gotcha,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
No, nothing's like underneath you. I mean, you're not
I thought you were saying you just wish they could just straight up burrow like every other unit.
Oh, like underground? No, that'd be kind of ridiculous.
I'm like, what is he getting at?
I want invisible defenses, please.
Gotcha.
Pass them my way. That'd be awesome. Right now, oh my goodness, schooling a horde of mutas that doesn't even know you got them.
It would become the Zerg Widow Mine.
Yes,
except to keep shooting.
I don't know if you heard that argument this week about the Widow Mine being completely overpowered again. I mean, this argument probably comes up once a week. But this one was that Terran needs it right now, because otherwise they suck.
I don't know about that. I would argue that
the whole idea is that because
for example, in Symbol versus Bomber, I would almost say that Widow Mines are hurting more than helping Terran at the moment because they're so popular that Symbol was just able to do a good old-fashioned Baneling bust because Bomber was like, oh, who makes tanks now?
Right, things that would have never worked in the past with all of those replaced with tanks. No, I agree. They are seductive, however, because there's so much luck involved in them.
Yeah.
Which I think was why, Infestors took off. Because if you landed the money fungal, as it was known, you won the game.
Right.
And nowadays, that is a lot bigger of a risk to take, and there's not that instant random gratification that you get from something like instant fungals or a Widow Mine.
Yeah. I really like Widow Mines. I'm not saying that tanks replace them completely, but I think that tanks have been kind of out of the spotlight more than they should be because I think the best thing that has happened to Terran with Heart of the Swarm is the removal of having to research siege mode.
Well, as a Terran player, you would say that. I honestly, it doesn't make any difference to me. When I see a tank, I never think, well, here comes a siegeless tank push. The only time it ever mattered was like if I really had early roaches or something.
My point being, though, is that you shouldn't be, since you can get out a tank with siege mode even earlier now, that you shouldn't be losing to Baneling All-Ins as often.
I really like what RipD9 in the chat room says. Mines are overrated and undercountered.
And uncountered.
Oh, well, I like undercountered better. I like my quote. I'll take that.
It's more or less the same.
Yes.
Even though
same.
I'm not sure that's a
thing.
word that's really used ever by anyone, but yeah, mines are over. They're very good. They're great for space control. I love them. They're sneaky as hell, and it has forced better play from people playing against them. I love watching all the little singlelings run in and bait mines, or leading your army with an overseer, forcing in TVT more scans, or God forbid a Raven.
Yeah, well, anything that helps distract from, just drops 24/7, I'm happy with.
Right, and I love Terran baiting, when you try and bait someone into your mines, like watching, like, is he gonna go for it, and just knowing. No, when you have that knowledge that you know what the Terran player is doing, when you see the broad mines, you see the small pack of Marines stimming and doing the rubber band, like, come on in, and your mind's just doing that. Is he going to fall for it? Is he going to fall for it? Is he going to... Oh my god! I don't know. It's fun. It's added a nice level of meta intrigue to the game.
Yeah, Terrans have been baiting forever, though, so I still fall for it pretty regularly.
Yeah. But
I don't... Other than maybe like 1 or 2 Banes just in case of Hellions, but even that doesn't happen too much anymore. Really, I don't think I use Banes at all in my ZVT.
I've been playing a lot of Zerg lately, even in 1v1s. I've been playing a lot of unranked. I've been playing off races Zerg. I use Banelings a lot. And it works very nicely against Terran. As a matter of fact, I just watched... Oh god, what episode is it? The man has so many episodes, it's absurd. But I watched a recent Day 9 daily that was all about playing Zerg against Terrans that go Widow Mines, and Banelings played a big role in that. So it's a good watch. Good stuff.
Yeah, when they finally find the right balance between Widow Mines and tanks, it's going to be a horrifying thing. And I'm sure there'll be lots of steps along the way, because big stationary units that Zerg like to surround don't mix well with a collateral damage splash unit. So it's going to be a bit before people figure that out well enough. But the other game, SOS versus Kong Ho, or Lucier as we used to know him, this was a very cool set. But man, there was a game where there was this beautiful, just this choke. And it was so awesome. I mean, you had the Swarm Host in the back. You had a big old Protoss Death Ball out in front. You had the Spine Crawlers going, the Spore Crawlers going, Corruptors in the air, Tempest on the other side. And for some reason, Kong Ho just, his brain, he gets one fungal off and goes, oh, I got this. And dumps, must have been 5 Infestors full energy worth of Infested Terrans out. And man, there were already 2 Colossus standing there, but there were also Storms ready to go. And nothing happened, other than an immediate loss, pretty much.
Ugh. Oh, that's rough. So it's a shining example of why you shouldn't make Infested Terrans, is what you're saying?
No. The only thing Infested Terrans are really good for are probably silver and gold players who haven't learned how to detect yet. And you just take one, send it up into the base, and do the old, just swim around for a bit. Throw 2 Infested Terrans at this mineral line, hide in the corner, come back a few minutes later, you chuck over the edge to the natural. Maybe if it's on one of those maps, chuck over the edge to the third. But other than, randomly surprising with a bit of shooty damage, you don't get any upgrades anymore, and these things are just crap.
Chatman makes a good point. They're great for setting off Widow Mines.
True enough. I don't know if I'd waste the energy, though, because with how few Infestors you actually get nowadays, you're counting yourself down on fungals.
Right, but if you're not doing, if you're not playing a Ling-heavy game, you don't have a whole lot of other really cheap or free units to expend.
Yeah, and certainly if you're
Changelings is another good way to go.
Yeah, and if you're going into the Supreme late game where every caster is worth their weight in gold, absolutely. I mean, keeping those things alive and keeping anything alive is worth it, just for a bit of energy.
Yep. Right, I'm going to talk about my favorite series. Day 2, watched all the games from this. Roro versus INnoVation. I'm currently in the middle of building a church to the god that is INnoVation.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that your bandwagon?
It's my bandwagon this week. Every Terran I root for has got... Literally everyone has gotten knocked out.
Yeah.
The ones
Man, did you check the Challengers League? Code A?
No.
With MKP?
No.
Man.
No. Well, I don't want to talk about it.
Of all the Code A people for Marine King, your man to go up against, of course he gets put up against Life. What do you think happened?
I don't just.
Okay, I'll let you. I'll let you enjoy your.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to. It's hard subject. Okay. You're still my boy. But no, INnoVation, man. It's art. It's StarCraft art. It's like watching Leonardo paint. I don't understand it. Game 1, his control was just perfect. The splits against the Banelings. Tace has made a good point. He couldn't get over the fact that he trapped the majority of Roro's army in the top left. And just managed to split his armor perfectly where he just caught almost the whole thing.
To be fair, that was really weird of Roro. Granted, he was sporting pretty much a Ling Muta army, so he was hoping to skirt around the entire force and get into the main.
Right, and most Terrans wouldn't have been able to catch up and divert, and basically I guess the whole thing I can take away from this entire series against Roro is INnoVation's control. During every minute of every game, it felt like he was in control of the game. He was the one calling the shots. I mean, he corralled the Zerg army in that top left corner like a freaking cowboy. It was ridiculous. But anyway, and then in his final push in game 1, he just threw in one tank. And because of how good he is, that was all it needed to just make the Banelings useless.
This man's 19 years old.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I want to steal his brain.
Man, and he's been really only going since last year. Took 4th in GSL Season 5 and took 3rd in a MLG Winter Championship just about 2 months ago. But man, this guy is absolutely exploding onto the scene.
Yeah, I don't know what he did. If he went into the gravity chamber from Dragon Ball Z or something. But
it seems like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or he's slowing down time, or he's got some sort of superpower he's taking advantage of. Because that game sense that he had to pull his army, which could have honestly taken probably the 3rd and the natural right then and there. Instead, he goes straight up, catches the army while it's moving, and destroys it, winning the game for himself.
Pretty much. That was the big turning point, anyway. Then game 2, just the weirdest, overcommitted bunker rush ever that ended up getting broke out of, but he still ended up winning the game. What the hell?
The 5 bunkers at the bottom of his ramp. In fact, 2 of them falling off the bottom.
And then he made a second one over at Roro's hidden expansion and actually killed the expansion with it.
Yep. Well, a hidden expansion. I honestly never expect those to last long in a professional game.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous crap. He committed heavily to this and recovered. He had all his bases covered. He was walled off. Freaking Roro couldn't break in to his main. It's just great. But game 3 I think is the game that everyone's going to look back on, unless the finals are stellar, and talk about from this season.
Ooh, everyone's certainly complaining about it.
Yeah, they can all go F themselves. From a spectator point of view, this was a crazy freaking game. I mean, Roro really got the upper hand. He punished INnoVation super early on by he basically just cracked open the front of INnoVation's base with some Banelings and then just surged into the main with roaches. So, and I'm sitting here, oh my god, what is INnoVation gonna do? If you guessed he was going to mass Hellbats and Medivacs and start dropping all over existence for Roro and even kill a hatchery with Hellbats,
yep,
then not only are you inhuman, but you are also correct.
And a psychic.
Yes. That's which why being inhuman.
Oh, okay. Maybe a mutant.
I loved listening to Tasteless and Artosis because this right after the game ends, when INnoVation flips it back on Roro and takes the game 3 and wins with a 3-0 victory, Tasteless just goes, What? Joseph says, oh, INnoVation. He lost 43 SCVs and just microed SCVs and Hellbats and won. He lost 43 workers.
Yeah. Yep. Well, really what it comes down to is Roro didn't handle this correctly. He needed a Spore and a Spine at every base. And if that was covered, not as much damage would have been done.
Well, he even had Spores at some of his bases, but he needed more than one. And I think Artosis made a really good point where he said, he actually could have made more Queens so he could chase down the fleeing medevacs.
Yeah, there was even one that got away with like 3 health or something ridiculous.
Yeah, and that was right when he started doing the drops, and that could have, helped. I mean, he had a lot of medevacs, though.
It's such a new thing, though. It's hard. He didn't really run away his drones either. They just kind of stood there and took it. In fact, even towards the end, I mean, granted, it's a final ditch effort when you pull your drones to attack something.
I mean, when INnoVation first started dropping, Roro did a good job of running his workers, and he made it really hard for INnoVation to line up some good shots.
Yeah.
But it seemed like as the game went on, he was just getting dismantled mentally.
Oh, falling apart. And who could blame him? I mean, this is a best of 5. You're on game 3 here, and it's looking like you're going to lose no matter what you do. Hellbats are damn powerful. And I have a lot of issues with the Hellbat drop just because I can't tell it's coming. A factory on the way to Starport is nothing that's going to hint me at anything.
It's a necessary. You need it to get to the Starport.
Sure, and seeing a couple Hellions out, that doesn't mean anything either. I mean, that probably means something to someone who started in Heart of the Swarm. But I think our brains are still hardwired for, that's what Terrans do for the first 10 minutes of my game. They dance around with their fires.
Okay, so you say that you just personally haven't become accustomed to Hellbats in general.
No, I mean, I'm very paranoid about getting dropped in my base, so I am usually, I would say, per base, and, again, this is, my high gold league talking, but I'm sitting on, against Terran, usually about 2 Spore Crawlers and 2 Spines in my mineral line, just in case.
Per base?
Yeah, pretty much just automatically. Granted, I play very drone heavy and very queen heavy, so it's not too big of a deal.
I was about to say, you haven't gotten away from your heavy queen play, right?
No,
Okay.
no. So even then I can transfuse and bring those bad boys up and shoot down some medevacs, but it's just something that you don't really think about at the moment. Same thing's happening with the oracles. One shows up in your base, you lose 10, 12 drones, and it's just one of those things. You're like, well, I guess I saw a cybernetics core. That didn't mean anything to me.
Well, nowadays, I mean, if you scout an early starport, you can pretty much assume that's what's going to be.
Sure.
Early Phoenixes aren't really as popular as they used to be.
No, they don't happen too much.
Yeah. So anyways,
a lot of complaining, a lot of words about imbalance here.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that I don't see anything happening on a balanced side, and it's just going to take time.
Real quick before we move on to WCS Europe, when I watch GSL, I'm usually chatting with Ben, our host from This Week in Blizz, buddy of mine. And we were both watching this game at the exact same time, and it ends, and he just goes, well, I guess INnoVation is winning the GSL.
It certainly seems like that.
He's my pick at this point. So we've got our semifinals, Kyle. Who do you think it's going to be? We have Soulkey facing off against SOS, and we have INnoVation playing against Symbol. Who do you think is going to make it to the finals?
Oh man, if I were just to say it right now, I'd say SOS versus INnoVation. I don't think the Zergs can handle.
I could see Soulkey beating SOS.
Yeah,
that's a hard one to call. I think that's a hard one to call. And INnoVation versus Symbol breaks my heart because I've been rooting for Symbol for so long, but I really don't think he has a snowflake's chance in hell. Unless maybe, who knows? He's Lord knows, he's going to be watching those games against Roro with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah.
Not that you watch with the comb. He's going to be going through it with a fine-tooth comb. My analogies are shit today. I apologize.
That's all right. I'm not blaming you. Yeah, but I would just love to see like such a set and controlled player like INnoVation go up with someone with the randomized button that is SOS. It'd be a real fun game to catch.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see a TVZ again.
Yep. As long as we don't get Soul Key versus Symbol, I'm going to be really happy with these finals.
I think we can all agree we wouldn't like to see a ZVZ finals.
Right.
But I don't want to see a PVZ or a PvP, or I guess a TVT is okay.
TVT is still my favorite mirror matchup to watch, but I'm biased. I'm
sure, because you can walk away with some info from it. I'm glad I don't have to play that matchup.
Yeah. Yep. Sounds good. So WCS Europe's also going on still. So is America. Yada yada yada. But I really think I've not been watching WCS Europe because I'm a GSL fanboy, and I feel like WCS Europe is having the best storylines. It's having the most upsets.
Yeah.
And the people moving on that I would not expect. So, for example, this week we had Group A in the round of 16. We had TLOs, 3-Lock, MMA, and 4GG. Who do you think's going to make it out? If you had gone into that blindfolded, who do you think's going to win? I'd have probably said MMA and 4GG.
Sure.
MMA being my top pick. Nope, he didn't make it out. TLO was the first out of the group, and 4GG was the second out of the losing games.
It's really great, though, that the whole world is getting to have the tournaments like the GSL where they can actually prepare ahead of time, because I've always thought these games are so much better than the randomize, who am I going up against next in this marathon weekend.
They both have their appeal. I still get really excited for MLG Championship weekends, because that's when I can go to Katie and be like, this is what's happening this weekend.
Yeah,
I'm buying beer, I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm watching this.
Sure.
Because
and very different players tend to win those.
Exactly. You get to see some really crazy stories. You get to see really cool storylines condensed into 3 days.
Yeah.
So,
did you get to see the clips of Happy dodging storms?
No.
Oh my goodness.
No, I didn't.
Happy's control is out of control. He split multiple ways. The storm landed in the middle, and he could have just walked out of it, but no, of course, because the back Marines would take more damage because the damn Marauders won't move fast enough. So he splits in all directions each time a storm gets dropped on him.
Wow. Yeah, he didn't drop a single game either. He was first out of Group B. TLO dropped one game. I'm curious because you don't in these group stages. Not everyone doesn't play everyone. I'm curious how it would have shaked out had TLO played MMA.
True.
Because they didn't face each other, but I can't believe MMA didn't make it out of the group.
But that's what I like about the format, going back to that, because these guys got to prepare. And sure, you can always think, well, what would have happened if I actually got to go up against so-and-so, but you're as ready as you're going to be.
Yeah. Also, so Happy won 4-0. You know who did the opposite of that and lost 0-4?
Who did?
Did you again? Shit, I didn't expect. NaNiwa lost 0-4.
Yeah, after his great representation at his last tournament.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this at all.
NaNiwa also falls into that IdrA field where everyone gives him crap, but when he wins, everyone loves him forever. I'm
going to say it right here. Not a huge NaNiwa fan.
Yeah, I really like his play. I think he is very emotional. And, well, let's go ahead and get into this little bit of drama here.
Yeah, so NaNiwa must have just been feeling a little lonely since no one was paying attention to his drama after IdrA's last week. And decided to go to Twitter saying, I don't know why I fly 5 hours for playing on these shitty ESL PCs, Gamescom shit PCs, Kiev shit PCs, WCS shit PCs. Big mistake.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sure it was the computers, NaNiwa.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
There's also the clip circulating of him denying the handshake at the end of his match. And I can read his face 100% because I've been there. He has that if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Just running through his head. You can see his eyes are like bulging and his hand is extending towards him. And he's just like, get that out of my face. I'm raging. And I don't want to say anything that I'm regret. And I'm sure this just ate at him in the inside. You know what I mean, man. And you feel like...
So why did he sit down and type it into Twitter?
Because it's that introverted, nerd, awkward thing that we do when you're an angry, frustrated nerd. You feel like, you shouldn't say this thing. But no matter what, you'll feel better as soon as you say it, even though you shouldn't. So you end up saying it, and you're like, crap, I'm going to regret that the rest of the week.
Could he look like a sorer loser?
No.
Who the hell blames the computer?
Blaming the computers is
I don't think any tournament that's worth even half a shit has crappy computers.
Well, and points have been made against him, of course, that most pro players play on really low settings. I'm sure the computers were more than efficient.
I can play StarCraft on my POS laptop if I have cranked everything down.
For the first 30 episodes of the show, I was playing on a Mac Mini.
Ooh, God. You might as well play with some sticks.
I know, right? But I was enjoying myself, and you're allowed to bring your own mouse and keyboard. I mean, that right there is a handicap if you're not playing with your own peripherals.
I'll give you that.
That's not happening.
Yeah, I don't get it. Anyway, ESL then made a seemingly unrelated post about the inner workings of their tournament. And honestly, taking a quick glance at this, their computers seem more than capable of running StarCraft.
Yeah, an interesting little side note. They're not like, hey, NaNiwa was wrong, but they're basically saying, well, who would like to see behind the scenes here and see how awesome our setups?
It had to be in reaction to this.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no way in hell. It's awesomely passive aggressive, and I find it great. I love ESL. I really like them a lot. But these are perfectly capable machines. I mean, are they the best computers in the world? No. I'm running a computer right now that's better than this setup. But except that hard drive, that is a sexy hard drive. I need to get an SSD.
Sure, well, wouldn't we all like one?
Yeah, I mean, they're running i5s. Yeah, okay, you can have an i7, but Jesus, it's StarCraft. It's not Metro or Crisis.
No, which I'm hearing good things about Metro.
Are you? Okay, I completely forgot a new one just came out. I just remembered the previous one that came out was a hell of a system hog.
Was it? I remember like it looking quite pretty, but it seemed like it was more human drama than actual monsters. This one seems a little more monsterific.
Yeah, I don't know. I know our sponsors, Doghouse, use Metro to benchmark their systems.
Oh, wow, nice.
So, because it has a good built-in benchmarking application, and on top of that, it's a bitch to run.
Speaking of benchmarking, I really wish graphics cards would actually get real games on them, rather than that computerized girl with her eyes all big in your face. I hate those fake advertisements all over, like, NVIDIA or ATI.
I always had, like, the demon on a clock tower. I don't know what you're talking about. So, apparently they sent you the porny anime chick version.
Right. So poor sport NaNiwa, but we've seen him be a poor sport before. Not too surprising.
I wasn't surprised at all. So, anyways, Season 1 finals are rapidly approaching for all WCSs, Europe, Korea, and America alike. WCS Europe is going to be hosted by ESL. It's going to take place Saturday, May 25th, and it's going to run through Sunday, May 26th. WCS Korea, obviously hosted by GOM TV. It's going to be taking place Saturday, June 1st. I cannot wait for that. And then WCS America is going to be hosted by MLG, and it's going to take place on Saturday, June 1st, and run through Sunday, June 2nd. Choking on my own words.
Oh man, that's a lot of content and a lot of finals happening all at once.
It is, but well, WCS Europe doesn't overlap, and I'm perfectly fine with GSL being the same time as MLG because I don't watch it live. I can't stay up that late anymore. I'm not a caffeine-fueled nerd rager in college. I just can't do it.
No, now you get sick and stuff and have to sit in a chair for 8 hours. It's not quite as fun as 2 classes and a nap afterwards.
Yep. Or it's my early class and I've got that one teacher who doesn't really care if I show up, so I think I'm just gonna sleep.
Attendance is only a third of my grade.
It's a liberal arts class. No one cares.
I do wonder if they're gonna use their studio for the finals, or if they're actually gonna relocate for the GOM TV finals like they normally do. Because when they were showcasing it, they showed some pretty cool little pyrotechnics and whatnot going on, but they seemed to rent out a big place for the finals.
Yeah. But cool. I'm stoked, man.
Yeah.
Go INnoVation. I would not be disappointed if Symbol won, though. If he upset and went to the finals and won it, I'd be so stoked.
Man, I was cheering for Roro today. So
Roro.
Yep.
His name is terrible. It bothers me.
I'm sure that's not a big deal in Korea. But yes, here in America, it does conjure images of Scooby-Doo.
Roro Raggy. Okay. Anyways, that brings us towards the end of the show. We got a call-in from I don't know, but it's on the subject of average StarCraft players. Let's give a listen.
Hello, guys. I'm calling as your average StarCraft player, and I mean average as in like silverish, goldish, kind of crappy-ish. I just have a quick question for you. I hear you often talk about how you think Blizzard doesn't do a great job of promoting like an esports atmosphere, and I tend to agree with that. And I'm wondering, I'm wondering what your thoughts are on how they can improve. And in one aspect I'd like to hear you talk about is, in my state, there's not a whole lot going on as far as StarCraft 2 goes. And I'd really like to have a community, because I know there's tons of people who play StarCraft, and I have a few friends, but it seems like there's not a really good way built into the game in order to find those people. And so I'm wondering if that's something that's Blizzard's responsibility to try to create a community like that, or if it's something that goes outside of that. So am I supposed to start a Facebook group or something else?
Okay. Thank you for your call. He didn't give his name. Average StarCraft player. That's just what we're going to call him. Okay. So he's kind of wondering what our thoughts are on improving the WCS format, and more specifically to his point, if Blizzard should be trying to cultivate more localized StarCraft play. What are your thoughts?
Well, the WCS is of course brand spanking new, and it's pulling together multiple tournaments that already existed. That sounds like a hard point to start with.
Yeah.
They've been doing a good job on the website, though, trying to keep everything updated, making lots of nice little graphs and graphics to try to sum it all up. The thing is, it's just happening all over the world, and there's many different storylines at the same time, and GSL is really the only one adept at handling that at the moment, because they've had the experience of doing it.
Right. I don't know. We've talked multiple times about how I feel like they're kind of just piggybacking onto existing tournaments, and I don't necessarily really think that's the way to go.
Yeah, but as we learned last week, they basically made the GSL, and these other tournaments are made off of their game. So they have every right to piggyback.
Yes, but I mean, it sucks that there's like half as much money for this season of GSL.
Yeah, and it just seems so. Let me think of a more PC word, because I've got one in my head, and it's not exactly the one I want to use. It seems kind of keeping in the masturbatory. Let's go ahead and say it. It seems a little ridiculous that when these guys are going to a GSL finals, they're also going to the WCS semifinals. And the points that you're winning from winning a tournament are going to help you get higher in another tournament. Where's the chance for the underdog players?
Right, exactly. I mean, then they've got we have the Challenger League, but I mean, I guess if you're making the Challenger League, you have very good chances of making it out if you play well.
Sure, and there's a lot of exposure to have there.
Right. But I don't know. I'm really trying to just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride and see where we are halfway through this or at the end of this. So I still think it's too early to judge. We haven't even had our first season of finals yet. And at the end of the day, the games have been great, and that's really all I want.
And I think when we have our big BlizzCon finals, we're going to love it, and we're going to enjoy how we got here. Mm-hmm. But until then, it's just really hard to fathom, and the points just seem to be distributed to people who are winning in the first place. And there's no chance for anybody to catch up.
Yeah.
But that's because we're only seeing points from 1/3 of the season. Come next season, those people could get defeated, knocked out. We just watched, 3 months of their play. Of course, there's more than enough for you to research in this sort of format. And they could get knocked out by someone small, and that person is going to have a whole third of the season to get up to their level of points, and we could really be neck and neck when finals time comes.
Yeah. My final point on the broad thing is I think I personally would like it better if it was region locked, because I think that is annoying me, is watching the North American WCS and seeing no North Americans in it. It's very annoying. Or I do see them in it and they lose miserably.
Yeah, I don't have as big of a problem with it because I know what the opposite would be, which would be a big festival of foreigners who look like they're playing great, but come finals time, oh my goodness, you're in a whole lower league than the Korean server.
It doesn't bother me, though, because we don't really have a good showcase for our North American players to play other North American players.
Yes, along for the ride, it would be a really great system. Come finals time, when we have people with tons of points that can't compete with another server, it'd seem real awkward.
Yeah, they'd get flushed out so quickly, though. It'd be like the first round of an MLG.
Yeah, or it'd basically be the great cleansing that happened at last year's WCS. And then we had a good finals anyway.
Exactly. Anyways, back to more to his point of localized StarCraft growth. I don't think Blizzard will ever get involved at like a city level.
No, the closest thing we have is that they keep a running tally on bar crafts going on. And they just reposted this, that you can submit your form if you're running a bar craft. This is basically you have talked to a bar owner into showing, instead of normal boring sports on the TV, he's going to show real esports on the TV for an evening. There are lots of guides on how to convince bar owners to do this. Mainly it's convincing them of the numbers and money that you can bring in for them. The ones I've all gone to, they've been a lot of fun, but the bartenders, man, they seem nervous. For the most part, everyone there has been very giving and bought food and, making sure people are getting advertised and like, yeah, come on, everyone, take part in my nachos here. And like buying beer and, really enforcing the fact that we're there and we're going to spend some money and we want you to host this again. But, man, I watched a guy spill a beer in a pool table, and I've never seen a bartender so furious. And I think it was a bit
because that's never happened before.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that doesn't happen every time you get a bunch of rowdy football fans or hockey fans in here. He was on tenterhooks the entire time.
Gotcha. See, I've been to a few, and they've been fine. They've been absolutely great. And Lord knows I bought plenty of booze.
Well, and you've been to ones in Florida, and I'm sure that demographic is very different. Here in Chicago, a liquor license is stupid expensive. And it's
because your city's kind of dumb when it comes to that stuff.
Well, yeah, we do have a bit of a history with liquor. It, did cause some problems in Prohibition times. And nowadays, it's real expensive, and bartenders are real nervous about possibly shutting down things for a night so a bunch of nerds can come in.
Right. But anyways, back to your point. No, I don't think Blizzard's ever going to do that. The cool thing is that they're supporting the barcraft movement. They're not fighting against it. They're not charging you for. They're not like, oh, you didn't pay for a license, you can't play that in the bar. They're like, no, cool, do it. Tell us, and we'll list it here so that more people show up to your barcraft. And I think that's wonderful.
Right? How horrible would that be? Hey, tweeting a picture of me at barcraft. Did you buy a group pass for everyone to watch on the same account?
Right. Exactly. So there's that. That is awesome.
As for like making Facebook groups and friends and all that, I mean, certainly introduce your friends to esports. It's something that I try very covertly. In fact, I often, when I know someone is coming over, I will leave it on in the background while we start our conversation. And inevitably they'll say, oh, what's this? I'm like, oh, this is StarCraft here. Oh, it seems pretty interesting. Oh, yeah, it's real interesting. And, like, I'm holding back the whole time because I just want to explode on them and be like, I know, right? You should come over. We should watch this every Saturday.
That's totally how Ben got me into Magic, and it worked. But since we're both nerds,
exactly.
I respond to that type of treatment. He's just like, he literally went like, here's a starter box, open it. What cards did you get? Okay, put this, that, and together, sit down.
Yep.
So, it's one way or another. But yeah, Facebook groups are great. That's exactly how my local Barcraft coordinates everything. Shout out to Tampa Starcraft. Woo, like them on Facebook. They're great. Charlie and the guys over there. Love them to death.
Also look up things like Wingcraft, or there's like just restaurant craft. I mean, you don't have to be 21 to participate in these sort of events.
A lot of them will do it at like bar/game halls where the age is like 18 plus and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like our local one is at a place like that.
And it's honestly a blast, because when you go to an MLG or you're at a Barcraft and something awesome happens on TV, one, having a crowd reaction around you is just so invigorating. But to be able to be like, I know, right, to the guy right next to you and have him know exactly what you're talking about is just worth its weight.
It's like a mini convention. Have you ever been to a comic book convention or BlizzCon or whatever? It's nice to be surrounded by people that get your weird niche obsession.
Mm-hmm.
You know, strike weird from that. It's not weird. Everyone who doesn't like it is weird.
Yeah, I agree.
It's us against them.
And I've said it before, but for me, it's infinitely better than sports because I can bring home this information and use it.
Yep. Very fun.
I'm not going to go play
I can watch
30-man football.
I can watch football all day. It is not going to make me any better at playing actual football.
Nope.
Anyways, we got one more email. Chat room, if you have questions, start posting them now, and we'll answer them after this final email. Lithian writes in and says, I just started getting into StarCraft, and I love listening to podcasts that works because I'm a farmer who is on a tractor 12 hours a day every day. I started downloading all of your episodes yesterday, and so far I've listened to the first 14. It's amazing, and I love you guys. That was not the reaction I was expecting. My reaction was, why are you doing this? It's
why did
terrible.
You start? Yeah.
Go home.
Take some practice here.
Yeah. Anyways, he continues to say that I haven't listened to any new episodes, but I'm guessing you guys do well because you're 150 episodes in. I feel like I'm living in the past. But anyways, I love your show, and I'm glad you guys are doing this. I hope you guys have done a bunch on map editor tips, because I'm an arcade kind of guy, then you're going to be very disappointed.
No, actually, well, in the beginning of the show, there was, who was doing a Sandman was doing his custom maps.
Oh, that's a very good point. Yeah, once you get to the Sandman segment, you'll actually be happy as a clam for a while.
But that's not going to be any of the modern games out.
Yeah.
In fact, if you tried the new one, this, what's it called? It reminds me a lot of Faster Than Light, but it's really fun. It is...
I haven't played a custom map in at least 6 months.
Warships. It's actually a lot of fun.
Cool.
Check it out at some point.
Yeah. So, anyways, it says, now begins my 100-episode journey. I'll let you know what I think after the marathon. Dude, if I listen to 150 episodes of anything, like, it could be freaking... I don't know, like Giant Bombcast, which is like the thing I can't get enough of right now. I would hate those guys at the end of 150 episodes. It's not funny anymore. I get it. You guys are bros. But that being said, the fact that I listen to Weekly every Wednesday, man, I'm just like, yes, new Giant Bombcast. So.
I'm really excited to hear what this guy has to say. First of all, that he's at this point, if you're listening on a tractor, congratulations on making it to 152 here. And please write in and let us know how the journey was.
That has to be so odd because the show is so... It's an update show. It's a topical update show. It'd be like watching... It'd be like watching CNN from 3 years ago. In order.
If you're not following every esports news the day it comes out, it can still be pretty interesting. I remember when I first got into the instance, I went back to episode 10.
That's a good point. Okay, yeah, you're right. Because I did listen to old back catalogs of some WoW podcasts back when I was really heavy into WoW.
And even then, if you went 3 months back in our show, you'd probably find it pretty interesting. However, if you're going like 2 weeks ago, you probably remember exactly what just happened and you're sick of whatever just happened because the coverage happened and our coverage happened.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. But yeah, thanks, Lithian. Welcome to the show. Check out the forums. Go to the StarCast.com. It's good stuff. So yeah, I've speaking of podcasts, I recently started playing The Old Republic again, the Star Wars MMO.
Yeah.
I just got this wild hair up my ass 2 days ago and was like, I'm going to jump back in. And I started playing on the free-to-play. I'm like, okay, this is fun, but it's really limited. I'm like, all right, I'll give him $15 for the month and just get back into this.
Just hide my hat already.
Yeah, and I'm having a blast again. There's a lot of people. I mean, there's so few servers compared to what it used to be, but I'm having a good time. The problem is, I'm like, I'm going to go pick up on some of the SWTOR podcasts that I was listening to. They're all gone.
Oh, man, I bet.
None of the ones I listened to anyway are continuing. So, hey, if you're out there, you're playing SWTOR, I'd like a recommendation for a good podcast. Just shoot it to my Twitter at GarrettArt. I'd appreciate that.
You know what odd thing I picked up again these past couple weeks? Minecraft.
Oh, that game horrifies me because I played it very, very briefly, but I lost 3 days of my life in a row.
Yep. Well, we got ourselves a little server here, building our castle, our dragon mouth castle with lava that pours out of the eyes and Skull Mountain out in the distance and all of that. But man, I get scared down there. It's a creepy game. Doesn't bother Kristen at all. She just keeps mining, runs into a monster, no big deal. But I hear like a, and I'm like, what? What was that? And I start just freaking myself out.
Oh, that's good. That's very good.
And of course, I'm building a roller coaster. But who doesn't?
Yep. So, Al in the chat room says you need to message Jocelyn from the Gamers Inn that he thinks she wanted to start her own server.
I saw her tweet that, and I almost did, and I was like, no, wait a minute, no. I have other things to do. I don't need more than one Minecraft project. It's more than enough working on our little dream house.
Maybe she'll help you with your dream house.
Oh, that's
Just
true.
lay out the ground rules. Like, we're going for a medieval skull cave castle thing.
Don't stand in the lava.
How are you at making Lego dragons? Good? Welcome.
Welcome aboard.
So, very cool stuff. Anyways, I think that about does it for today's episode, Kyle.
Yeah, let's wrap this thing up.
All right. Big thanks to those of you who left us 5-star reviews in the iTunes store. It really helps out the podcast version. So, thank you, Tim A. Connor, Kulikuk, Michael Assumption, who said still a good podcast after 3+ years. And thanks to Great Karma SF. I also just wanted to do a shout out to everyone who left us reviews because we just passed 600 5-star reviews, and we are the highest rated StarCraft podcast by a large margin.
That's awesome.
Thank you guys very, very much.
Honestly, it's such a weird system, but if you don't have, there are many ways to help out the show. One of them is catching the live show, following us on Twitter, following us on the live show at The Handsome Nerd. But if you don't have time for anything else, giving us a 5-star review magically helps out the show so much.
Yes. And you don't have to give a 5-star. We like feedback. Leave a 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star, and I'll tell you to screw yourself. But yeah, I like that. I like it a lot. It makes me feel good. So, I have an announcement for an upcoming guest, not next week, but the week after, episode 154 on May 30th. We will be joined by Marcus Graham, better known as DJ Wheat. I have wanted to talk to this man in a setting that wasn't screaming at him at a MLG after party or something for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
We are super excited to have him on. About 3 months ago, maybe even older, he got really steeped in a lot of the drama and I think was taking it a bit personally. He seems to have taken a step back. I'm really excited to talk to him about kind of his reinvigoration for his love of the game.
I wanted to get his tattoo on my arm after his reaction to the Destiny drama like a year back.
I think, he was emotional, ingrained in that situation, but those things had to be said. It was dumb.
And he stood up and yelled at the top of the mountain even though he was wearing pajama pants, and I commend him for that. So, chat rooms, let the F-bombs go off. Yes, I would assume it's going to be a swear-happy episode. So, Anyways, that brings us to the end. I'm looking forward to that. StarCast is a production of amove.tv. Make sure you bookmark amove.tv. That is the home, the core, the production house, and the website for everything that Kyle and I do. Every show that we host, everything that we post, our friends over at the Gamers Inn, and our new show, the Campaign Roundtable. Make sure you go check it out. We just wrapped up Portal 2, and next week we're going to start discussing the campaign from BioShock Infinite. It's going to go over the course of 3 weeks. We're breaking the game up into 3 parts. It's like a video game book club, so come check it out. That's our new show.
Yeah, and we play sound clips and show some video clips. It's a really fun show. You should check it out. Also, before we get too far, we didn't even mention this, and we keep forgetting, Garrett, that we have a clan and a channel in StarCraft itself.
Yes, we do. In StarCraft, if you're looking for good people, if you want to hang out, if you want to play some games with me and Kyle, the channel to join is simply StarCast. Join it. Join that group. Sorry, it's not channels anymore. It's groups. The group StarCast. So join StarCast. It's just called StarCast. That's all it is, and that is it. And there's our clan. We haven't really decided how we're letting people into the clan, so maybe we should not talk about that until we decide that.
That's true. We should figure out some sort of
Right
system.
now, it's just like a couple guys that volunteer for AMove TV, and that's it.
Yeah, and the clan system still doesn't have any features that make it worth being part of.
Yep. But hey, I've got AMove in front of my name, and that makes me happy, because that's all I do. It's very fitting. It's very, very fitting.
Oh, man, I hope that I've won some games due to people underestimating me. Because as a Zerg, I do more than that. I have to.
Yes.
So I always kind of get a little embarrassed when I see a clan tag, and I'm like, AMove.
Anyways, other than amove.tv, thestarcast.com is the place to go for our forums, archives, t-shirts, and more. Speaking of t-shirts, I finally got my new StarCast shirt. You can see it right there if you're watching on the live show. It is a wonderful new print. They're from slashloot.com. We're now partnered with them. They do wonderful bang-up jobs. Every shirt that you buy directly supports the show. We've got 2 designs up. We have the StarCast logo, and we have the Tychus Stim Shades shirt. So go pick that up. And you can catch us live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/thehandsomenerd. You can catch all of our VODs on youtube.com/StarCastShow. And our podcast is available on the Frog Pants Studio Ultra feed at frogpants.com. Email us at starcastshow@gmail.com. As you saw today, we take emails in response to previous week's topics. Completely random emails. We've had people ask us what our favorite sandwich or Steven Spielberg movie is. We love those. Or you can call us and leave us a message at 941-882-0281. The live call thing worked out really well last week, so we'll probably do some more live calls next week because I believe we are indeed guestless again.
Yeah.
So
that was thank you so much to everyone who called in last week, and of course, be part of the live show to participate in that.
Yeah. Follow us on Twitter at the StarCast. My personal Twitter is at Garrett Art, and Kyle's is at Kyle Ferguson. Big thanks to our production crew, Octane Pro, and Captain Noobing for everything that they do for this show. Octane Pro helps schedule guests. Captain Noobing edits the podcast. And you can check out nomoonart.com for my personal design work. I do a lot of stream and Twitch design overhauls, graphics for XSplit, stuff like that. So if you need some freelance work done, I'm your guy. Go to nomoonart.com. Kyle, where can people find you?
You can also find me at my 4th show at Biggest Fan Podcast. And this week, it's Star Trek Original Series Week. Of course, we're tying it into the new movies coming out, but there's going to be enough talk about those. Let's talk about some classic-ass Kirk, some Spock. I enjoy the campiness of it. I'm a little sad that the Netflix is all kind of sheened up and got rid of all the strings you could see in the background and the horrible outer space shots, but makes it a little more enjoyable. Check it out. Biggest fan, Star Trek Original Series this week.
Very cool. I love that show, dude. It's still one of my favorite podcasts. Big thanks to our sponsors, DoghouseSystems.com, TweakedAudio.com, and SC2QuoteOfTheDay.com. Our code is StarCast, and that code, every time you use it, directly supports our show. If you use it at DoghouseSystems.com, you will get double memory for free on your next gaming rig. You can go from 4 gigs to 8 gigs or 8 gigs to 16 gigs. And that same code will get you 30% off and free shipping on your entire order of noise-reducing earbuds from tweakedaudio.com. And make sure to just check out and bookmark SC2QuoteOfTheDay.com. Follow them on Twitter at SC2Quotes and get their iOS app by searching QOTD in the App Store. We thank them all for their support. I still one day dream of becoming an SC2 Quote of the Day. And we'll see you guys next week. Good luck and have fun.
Take care.